to the RunRX Podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running. Welcome back to the RunRX Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Caroline, and I'm here with Coach Valerie. Coach, what is it that you want to talk about this week? What's been coming up?
Okay, so what's been coming up is this idea that we really need that feeling of needing to go for a long distance run. And if we miss that distance, that we're somehow going to lose fitness or miss even mental, sanity kind of like. There's a lot of runners that are like, I need my run, and they like that distance. And so
they come in, and when they're trying to get away from being injured, they're like, well, what do I do if I can't do my hour-long run, or I can't do my whatever it is they're working on, right? That 10-miler working towards that half marathon distance, right?
Right. And also, traditionally, when a runner is injured, the first answer is go cross-train. So a lot of runners are like, okay, I'm injured, so I'm going to go swim or cycle or do something else to replace that movement that I need. I need that feeling of movement. And so I understand that completely because I've been there. Mm-hmm. So the challenge we have is when you're coming in and you have an injury and we say to you, we still want you to move. However, we don't want you to move for the length of time you were moving in a row, if you will. At least while you're learning or recovering, and to help people feel that I'm not actually losing anything by having to take a step back. And I'll be, and I hope, our goal for you, of course, is to get back to where you want to be, but you've got to be willing to take a step back from two things. One is needing that distance or that time in a row and kind of respecting the correct movement.
Right, because we'll have people that say, well, I couldn't run for an hour, so I got on my bike and biked for an hour. Uh-huh. Right? And and that's not necessarily helpful, is it? Or is it?
Well, it's not going to help you learn how to run or how to recover from your run. But to be fair, you want to go out and bike for an hour, go bike for an hour. You just can't think this is replacing my running. It was a completely different exercise. Yes, you did exercise for an hour, you went biking. However, you still now have to do the work in order to recover from your injury and come back to running. Okay. And so that's our main thing, is that we're helping you, instead of feeling like I need to replace that hour with an activity that's not even running. We're telling you keep the activity as running. However, we're going to help you learn how to use skill drills, strength, and self-care to get back to being able to running continuously.
So talk about how we do that. I'm coming in. Well, you just went through it, didn't you, with your hip?
Yeah, I'm like a, life of running.
A great test case.
The way it works, guys, is this. You come in, and we've all had these habits or patterns that we've been doing for years and years, however long you've been running. And for most of us, you don't even think about how you run, you just go running. So what we try to do with the immersion, or what we do with the immersion, is instead of going out and running for 3 miles, 5 miles, especially if you're injured, we ask you to instead, you're going to do a series of a skill drill, and then you're going to run a few steps to feel running. And that few steps, in the beginning, depending on where you are, could be your driveway, could be just a little bit down your street. And then we'll tell you to stop. You run for a second, you stop, you reset, and you start again. And the idea is you're trying to feel the reason behind the drill. So you're learning what running actually feels like. And in the beginning, it's like anything, like learning a new dance move. We've said this before. You're a little bit awkward and uncomfortable, and you're going to actually do more work than probably the running.
Right. And so let's talk about that. So I'm coming back in. Maybe I am injured. Maybe I have, hurt my hip, or I'm coming off of shin splints, or whatever it is. And it may have nothing to do with running, because that's the other thing I've said before. My knee issues were not because of running. It was actually I moved wrong when my dogs pulled me, and that caused pain in my knee. So if I were coming back, you would have me stand and pose. You'd have me work on my balance, right? You'd have me work on building up the muscle elasticity in my hamstring by doing pulls and then running a few steps. Is that correct?
Right. And I think this is where people have a challenge is, like you just said, my knee actually wasn't hurt from running. So here's that's really true. So this just happens in life. You're going to have things that happen. However, for us, because we're RunRX and we deal with running injuries, of course, most of you guys are coming in with a chronic injury from running rather than acute injury, like I fell and I hit my leg and hurt it. So we're looking for these patterns of movement. And what's so amazing is because we also help you learn how to do standing and walking. And this is important because walking and running are not the same thing at all. And it's important to understand that there's some things that are similar, like you're holding your upper body in the same place, but walking and running are two totally different movements. And a lot of people really think that running is just like fast walking. So we're helping you not just in running correctly, but just in moving correctly all the time.
Okay, so then outside of just the skills and the drill, and I said run a few steps, and really it can be up to 10 meters, right? I mean, which is about 30 feet, which is longer than you realize when you're trying to learn a new movement. And you do that repeatedly. We don't just do that once, right?
Right.
So
yes, you
and
repeat
there's
it
more
because
than one drill.
you're right. You're developing, here's the thing is what you're developing when you first start is you're developing a skill, number one. Running is a skill. When you see these runners out there, the elite runners, the pro runners, part of the reason they're so good at it is they practice hours and hours and hours. That's their job, right? That's what they do.
Right.
So here we go without any guidance and we just throw our shoes on and go. Right. So we just hope that as we keep running, we're just going to naturally get better. Well, probably not. The reality is until you start being aware of your movement and getting more efficient at your movement, that's how you get better. And remember, guys, they all have coaches. Someone's helping them with their movement. So that's the big thing that I think we want to really get across is that by just working first on the movement and developing your ability, the skill, the strength, that's important, right? It's not just that if I know how to do it, but am I able to do it, right? I need to develop my muscle elasticity, maybe work on some mobility. So we help you with all of that. So you have the ability to keep your form as you go.
And then you also have strength exercises that help me as a runner. It's not like going out to a boot camp where I'm just going to do arbitrary movements. The movements I'm doing are actually helping me hold my frame upright.
Right. Correct.
Okay. So give a quick example. We have so many posts on our Facebook page. We have the 30-day reboot. And in that 30-day reboot, you have skills, some self-care, but you also have strength workouts. So if I'm doing the 30-day reboot, and maybe I'm 15 days in, I'm on like the 4th or 5th strength workout, and you give me I think usually it's 2 movements that I do sets of like 10 3 times or something. You're very good about if I can only do 1 set, that's fine. Work up to 2 sets, work up to 3 sets. So I do my 2 workouts, my 2 movements, and maybe it's only 20 minutes and I've got some time, I'm feeling pretty good. Can I grab one of the skills that I've already been working on and then go out and do that for a couple routes, try to get in try to get in my hour workout, right?
Right. And that's something we help. And especially, of course, when you're in the membership, we guide you on, training plans that way. We include all the strength. We understand. I mean, the challenge, if you're thinking, I have to fill this time, like it has to be an hour of exercise. First of all, guys, it really does not. It's the quality of the workout. But however, yes. And I encourage it. I'm like, do some skill drills. Ideally, strength training can be done right after an interval workout. Okay. So you could warm up, do the warm up we have in there, pick a skill drill, play with it. They're a lot of fun. And a lot of it, by the way, guys, when we first get into running, especially as adults, if you haven't, kudos to you if you've run from, high school on, but many of the people we work with either never ran as youngsters or are just now coming into running. So I'm always like, when's the last time you really spent time hopping, skipping rope, all of this stuff, all of these elasticity drills are not being done. And so the challenge we have for you is not just to come back. It's not about just getting your muscle elasticity. It's about getting your connection back with your body. A lot of you guys are like, oh, I used to do stuff like this. And I'm telling you, the more you start to use your body as it's meant to be used, it's the same in running. You'll start to run how you're supposed to run.
And that is a great way to end this segment. So if you are possibly thinking about coming into the membership, realize what we do is a holistic process of skills, strength, and self-care. And if you aren't ready yet, you're just looking at our free content, you can still do the work that we're talking about. We have all the skills, we have all the strength, and we have all the self-care, and you can put it together all on your own. We do have people that do that. We just make it easier in the membership, which is it's kind of why you come to us. We don't give you just the what and the why, we give you the how when you come into the membership. So we will talk to you guys next week.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRX Podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.